Ah, the legendary Joan of Arc. She lived and died 600 years ago. But Joan is still celebrated as a heroine of France, a saint of the Catholic Church, and a feminist icon. And we can also recognize her as something else.
Hillary Clinton wasn't the only woman to change the course of history while wearing a man's suit.
A cross-dressing warrior who defied multiple gender norms. That's right, Joan was queer as hell. The story of our pants-wearing patron saint begins in Domremy, France, in the early 15th century. Europe was still battling the bubonic plague, and France was in the middle of the 100 Years' War with England. That's longer than the war between T. Swift and Kanye, and that went on forever. By the time Joan came on the scene, the English had booted Prince Charles's ass off the French throne. Things weren't looking good for the French, who worried they'd soon be swapping their baguettes for fish and chips.
Hello, hello.
Lucky for them, an unlikely heroine was soon to emerge.
So Joan was born in 1412. For all intents and purposes, she lived a fairly ordinary peasant life. My name is Dr. Christine Axon. I'm a medievalist with a specialty in Southern French history, and I use she, her pronouns. She basically helped around the house with her family, did domestic chores. It was a fairly uneventful life compared to the stage that she's plunged into later.
Things got wild for Joan one summer when she was 13. While in her father's garden, she heard a voice from above.
Hi, Joan.
Oh my God.
No, honey, this isn't God. This is Trevor, God's personal assistant, FYI. Anyway, our team just wanted to let you know that we will be reaching out to you randomly over the next few years.
Okay.
Great, so we will talk soon. Bye.
This was huge. Joan had just received a DM from heaven, and it kept happening. This girl had God on speed dial. In 1428, with the English on her town's doorstep, God urged her to help Prince Charles snatch back the crown.
Welcome to the gates of heaven. Can you have a seat, please? Thanks. God.
Bonjour.
Hey, bitch.
Look, the English will not give me space, and I'm like, ew, you're literally smothering me. What should I do?
I saw a note here about that. It says, meet the prince, kill the English, and wear pants.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, and there's something else about you being burned at the stake or something, but, hello? Hello?
Joan took God's advice literally. The 17-year-old peasant slapped on some pants and set off to meet the prince.
I actually can't read, but just go with it. I bring you news from God that our Lord will give you back your kingdom, bringing you to be crowned at Rheims and driving out your enemies. In this, I am God's messenger. Do you set me bravely to work, and I will raise the siege of Orleans.
Send a woman with an army?
But Charles wasn't convinced. So Joan had to prove herself. He sent Joan to the city of Poitiers for cross-examination by a group of fancy religious folks and doctors to make sure she wasn't completely Looney Tunes.
That's God. God looking fierce.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's me literally murdering the English. That's cool.
Oh my goodness.
Love that one.
It must have been convincing, because she passed the test. But with Orleans under siege, France was on the verge of being conquered, and Charles didn't have much to lose. So in a Hail Mary pass,
I'll give you 10,000 men.
he agreed to Joan's request.
Yes! You and me, baby. Yes, God, let's go! Let's go!
And just like that, Joan joined the army in pants.
What can I say? I'm a pro-working class feminist.
And so when she puts on men's clothing, whether or not this is for practical purposes, easier to ride a horse, less likely to be assaulted by men, it doesn't obviate the fact that she's choosing to put on men's clothing and she's choosing to cross-dress.
That's right. She became an instant military icon while bucking multiple gender norms.
What happened to her hair?
What has me shook is the pants.
Now, Joan didn't go toe-to-toe in battle herself. Sis was helping with strategy and directing troops, giving HBIC realness.
Bonjour, mon Dieu. It's God. Well, Trevor, but...
Is she talking to Issue?
Shh, we're desperate, remember?
Before arriving in Orleans, Joan dictated a letter to the English.
Dear, ugly, smelly, mama's boy Englishman.
She demanded their army leave France immediately or suffer her wrath.
Go home, or I swear to God, I am coming for dead ass on sight.
And baby, that wasn't a threat. It was a promise.
What is taking you so long?
Is that D-A-T?
The English tested Joan's words by holding their position in Orleans and arming themselves.
Oh, y'all thought I was playing.
Those poor British boneheads didn't stand a chance. This marked a turning point in the 100 Years' War.
So on her very first mission, Joan of Arc is sent to raise the siege at Orleans, and this siege had been going for 7 months. She breaks it in 7 days.
And that wasn't Miss Arc's only big success. Baby girl fought 13 battles and won 9 times.
She is winning victories. She's performing miracles, according to some testimony. She prays for the wind to change direction so they can successfully approach the city, and it does.
At the mere sight of Joan and her army, at least 30 towns submitted without resistance. Joan built a serious badass reputation, baby.
You may be thinking, this story sounds awfully similar to another story of a warrior who transgresses gender norms to serve her nation. Welcome to the footnotes. The Ballad of Mulan, tracing back 1,500 years, is one of countless stories of gender nonconformity across the world. Another one of my favorites is the 2,000-year-old Indian epic, the Mahabharata. It includes the story of Shikhandi. Though he had been assigned female at birth, Shikhandi grew up and was accepted as a man. And during the Great War, Shikhandi rode into the battlefield. The opposing army refused to fight because they misgendered Shikhandi as a woman. So he began shooting, hitting the other side with arrows and turning the tides of the war. It's yet more proof of how transphobia and misogyny don't just hurt others, they also hurt ourselves.
Our gender-bending hero was on an unstoppable mission from heaven. And baby, she did the damn thing.
The British call her a tart, and they specifically try to undermine the soldiers who are following her, saying, you're emasculating yourself by having this woman leading your army. But on Joan's side, I think she inspired tremendous devotion and faith from her followers, and they die for her. They follow her into every battle.